Cupping is an old Chinese treatment. According to Chinese philosophy, it basically moves energy that is stagnated or stuck in a certain part of the body and helps to be able to clear that energy and allow it to flow freely. Physiologically, it's also going to address the underlying fascial tissue, which can contribute to a lot of pain syndromes. Cupping is a very simple procedure. Basically, we take glass cups. Plastic ones can also be used, but I prefer the glass ones, and we use a little bit of a cotton ball soaked in alcohol and light that on fire so it doesn't warm up the cup, but it basically just sucks the oxygen out of the cup and creates a vacuum so that when I place it on the patient's skin, it creates a suction and will stay on the tissue. I regularly use cupping for a lot of musculoskeletal pain, so chronic back pain, chronic neck pain, tension headaches, even just muscle tension when patients are going through really stressful times in their lives and they're just having a lot of tension in the shoulders, and that's affecting how their energy level and how they're able to work during the day and sleep at night. Cupping can be a really great treatment to relax that tension so that they're not carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. I also use cupping to treat fascial diseases, so conditions like fibromyalgia, even frozen shoulder.
I've had frozen shoulder, noticed it about September, October of last year, so about 3 to 4 months before I started coming in for treatment. I had trouble moving my arm, my shoulder. It limited range of motion, extremely limited, and then it was very painful.
Frozen shoulder is a condition where adhesions start to form within the shoulder joint, and it affects the range of motion in the shoulder. So it becomes very difficult for the patients to move their arms, and it can come on very suddenly. So one day they'll be fine, able to move their shoulder normally, and then all of a sudden the next day they can barely move it, just a few degrees. It can also be very painful, and there aren't a whole lot of treatment options available for frozen shoulder. Sometimes in more chronic cases that aren't resolving with things like physical therapy, surgery will be the next best option, which is obviously very invasive. So the cupping is a nice alternative tool that can be used to really address it in a non-invasive manner, and really has no side effects or issues associated with it. While we're doing the cupping treatment, the suction is able to lift the underlying tissues, and so that's part of how it starts to address the fascia, which is the thin, like silvery layer that you see over the muscle. If you're ever preparing chicken or steak, you'll see that shiny layer over it. That's the fascia, and humans have it too. It's a very pain sensitive tissue, so it contributes to a lot of chronic pain and limited mobility because it can become very restricted. Also affects weight and circulation as well. The cupping can be left on stationary just for 5 to 10 minutes and they're not moved around, or they can be done running, and it just has a different effect whether you're doing it stationary or running. It can leave bruising if it's done in an area where a person isn't having any issues. It'll turn a little bit red while we have the cups on, but it won't leave any bruising. If it's done in an area where they actually need it, it can leave some pretty extensive bruising, but it really just looks worse than it is. It can feel a tiny bit sore for a few days after. Most people don't even feel anything after they've had the cupping other than just relief of symptoms, and then over the course of the week, that bruising is going to fade.
When I first started with the treatment, I couldn't even raise my arm up past where it's at right now. Now I can get up this high. And when I came in this morning for the treatment, it was about like this, and now I can go up higher. So it's from going from here to up here in just 4 treatments. I can't complain at all. Overall, it's great. It hurts somewhat when she gets to the areas that are really tight and sensitive, and I'll bruise from it, but it's a feel-good hurt, if that makes sense. It goes away, and it's a little tight at first, but then it starts working out, and it's amazing what it's done in just a short period of time.
Depending on the condition, the relief can be permanent and long-lasting, or it may need to be done on a more frequent basis. And initially maybe more frequent treatments, and then as things improve, then more on a maintenance basis.